Hi everybody and welcome to Get Indie Gaming, where today we have something rather special. We're long-term fans of publisher Raw Fury Games, and they recently approached us to do a host-sponsored video to highlight some of our favourite games from their back catalogue. What's more, as this video airs, Raw Fury's Christmas promotion event, Rawcember, is in full swing with treats, freebies, goodies and discounts off their catalogue. Be sure to check out Raw Fury's Rawcember website. You can find a link to this and all of the games found within this video down in the description, and we urge you all to click on these to have a look to see what's on offer. So, without further ado, here are our current top 5 video games from Raw Fury's Rawcember showcase we've most enjoyed playing. Up first, and in all honesty and no real particular order, Backbone came out over the summer just gone, and while we're hardly short on new pixel art releases, there are very few able to get close, let alone match the quality of artwork we see throughout this game. Set within an alternate reality Vancouver, the visuals are quite simply astonishing. Each scene positively drips with a melancholy, a gritty and downtrodden atmosphere. While easily said, there's something of the cinematic at play here, particularly with the sprite work and all of the characters having a tangible feel about them, which again is further enhanced by the use of their allegorical depictions and associated backstories. The whole atmosphere puts me in mind of something like the aroma of a room full of stale cigarette smoke and alcohol, which lingers in the nostrils long after you move on. This is, after all, based on film noir, although few others within the recent video games, perhaps with the exception of Genesis Noir, have managed to pull this off so well, having created something this evocative and sensory. Such feelings are further elevated in how the team have created an environment so detailed and genuinely realistic out of this pixel art. The work here with the rain in particular is a high point, as are the other light effects such as the shimmering neon signs and the motion of the people moving about their business on the streets, having a coffee or smoking a cigarette, or the views into people's homes via their windows as their TV sets flicker away. In places, these visuals feel majestic. All of these moving images are further underpinned by a rumbling and suitably atmospheric score that rises and falls appropriately. Orally and visually, Backbone is an utter triumph. You play as private investigator Howard Lothor, a raccoon with a trench coat straight out of Central Casting, with a vocabulary to match. He lives in what seems to be a squalid, tiny apartment within a neighbourhood that's seen better days, with his detective work failing to meet his general wants and demands. It seems all so dull for him, nothing but an endless stream of people with problems. While Howard fits the bill for the genre, for the most part he's likeable and self-aware. His to and fro with his clients and folks he meets along your journey feel natural, engaging, purposeful even, if at times, and this is the point, he does come across as being somewhat jaded and aloof. While there are puzzle sections, they are somewhere in the background, and would have liked to have seen more of them. However, when you do find yourself with a problem to solve, the puzzles are well paced, intuitive, and satisfying in the way all puzzlers need to be. We played Backbone over the course of a couple of long evenings, although all things considered, this might well be a game to settle into over the course of an extended afternoon. The ending when it comes might jar with some people, although personally, we think everything pans out the way it does as a lead into a sequel or yet further DLC content. Backbone is available on PC, Xbox, and the PlayStation platforms. I've lived much of my life by the sea or close to stretches of water, be this in the Channel Islands, down under in Perth, the Thames in London, the Rhine in Dusseldorf, and the canals and the sea of northeast of the Netherlands. I find living near water something that helps me stay level, and that's a feeling and place I can get to any time I pick up and play Townscaper. By the developer's own admission, this is all best described as part game and part interactive plaything. Now, to be honest, I don't normally get along with city builders. For my taste, well, there's usually too much being asked of you in the way of precision and planning, for things to work. Everything in these kind of games has to be just so for things to work. Well, that's not the case here. There are no people to look after, no industries to cajole, or in fact, any real objectives at all, other than to build for the sake of building and creating. As far as a city builder goes, Townscaper is super minimalistic, and for me, I think it works astonishingly well. It's super easy to pick up and play, and then put down again before coming back to it time and time again. I adore how going about building your little or not so little towns by the sea, everything, well, it feels decentralized and organic, with many of my creations reminding me of the fishing villages of the southeast of England, or the piecemeal homes and small holding farms you might find within Italian hilltop villages. While there are ways in which you can and make your town and village look a certain way, I tend to play this in a fully freedom mode. I just build for the sake of building, just to see what kind of a place me tinkering here and there I end up with. Although, as I alluded to earlier, this does tend to fall into similar patterns and designs. While there are no humans to manage and none at least to be seen, there are subtle hints they exist. Signs of life, such as the washing lines here and there. Tended and neatly arranged gardens are found within courtyards, the flicker of light through a window, and of course, flocks of seabirds and their associated cries and coos. After this year of all years, Townscaper has consistently been a tool I've used to help me unwind and relax come the end of the day. It's just so pleasing and, well, relaxing. It's one of the finest hidden gems out all year and can be found on PC, iOS, Xbox, including Game Pass, and via the Google Play Store. Up next, and something only recently out these past few weeks ago. Now, I'm not going to lie. Wolfstride isn't something I'd typically and usually gel with, although in this case, a few things aside, it's been a rather pleasant surprise. Essentially a turn-based strategy game with giant anime mechs, best thought of as something of a JRPG tribute, dripping with manga stylings and humour. At times this humour can fall a little outside of what I'd normally consider funny, and one of the central characters has a name that might grate along the same lines as the B-Sharps from The Simpsons. All that being said, underneath all of this we have a rather stylish looking game. The use of the monochrome really fits well, as do the mechs with their design, power-ups and upgrades. While again, the initial few hours might put a few people off, try not to let them. Once you get through the initial stages, the mech battles really pick up, as does the overall writing and characters who grow and mature, if that's the right word given some of the dialogue. What's most fun though is the mech customization, which enables you to build your bot in a fashion best suiting your playstyle. I usually opt for close range melee attacks, although I had a few goes at trying to build a ranged based attack system. Not that I was particularly effective with this. Either way, Wolfstride is a slow build, but worth your patience once things open up after the preliminary stages, and is out now on PC via Steam. From December of last year, and a game I replayed once more while pulling together this Raw Fury Rawcember showcase, Call of the Sea was one of the standout games released in the final quarter of 2020. Looking back though, I didn't do it justice enough back then in terms of coverage or praise. In retrospect, it should have made our end of the year Game of the Year rundown. In places, Call of the Sea sparkles with its puzzles and absorbing storylines, full of suspense, mystery, fantasy, romance, and darkness. Set within the 1930s and drenched with H.G. Wells and Lovecraftian undertones, this 5 or so hour first-person adventure sees you travel to a mysterious and distant island full of secrets and things wanting, or perhaps otherwise, to be discovered. You play as Nora, looking for her disappeared husband and his scientific expedition. Nora is delightfully voice-acted by Cissy Jones, who you may remember from Firewatch and The Walking Dead. She sparkles in this role, adding further depth and gravitas to your protagonist. Split into chapters which focus on certain areas of the island, You progress by solving various puzzles, solved by finding clues left about the place. I'm also a big fan of what the developers have done here with the story, the sense of the ongoing, foreboding nature of the tale, and how they have delivered something that is expertly captivating and emotional. Call of the Sea is a stunning debut game, and there's no doubt in retrospect it was one of the best games we played all of last year, although at the time we just didn't realise it. Call of the Sea is out on Xbox, PC and the PlayStation platforms. Perhaps of all of the games in the Raw Fury Rawcember catalogue we've enjoyed playing the most, we have Sable. To our collective minds here at GetIndieGaming, Sable is one of the finest open world games ever made. And this we mean it is truly open. There's minimal hand-holding, and while there are task and quest givers, how you set about in delivering these NPCs' wants and requests, well, it's totally up to you. You can go about playing Sable in any way you choose, and while this is a game about coming of age, undertaking a rite of passage, and finding a place in or outside of your society, as an overall experience, there's little else out there quite like it in how it demands your intrinsic motivation to go and get things done. Now on paper and how that reads out loud, it might not sound overly compelling, and yet trust us, it really is. There's something across this game, be it the delightful Mobius-inspired art style, the writing, which in places is terrifically funny, with it also having a few puzzles here and there, and via their completion, you earn rewards to help further drive you forwards. However, what works so well within Sable, as we alluded to earlier, is the sense of exploration and adventure afforded to you. Much of the enjoyment we all had playing this was from simply getting out and exploring. What is there to see at the top of that hill over there? What are you going to find at the bottom of that canyon up ahead? And what might you find within this abandoned space hulk or ancient temple? While others have labelled Sable a relaxing Zen-like experience, we found it exhilarating, with it very likely to make our shortlist for our 2021 Game of the Year. So there we go, that's all we have time for in today's video. Many thanks once again to Raw Fury for sponsoring our coverage of their Rawcember celebrations. Be sure to click the link in the description below to head on over to the Rawcember website to find and claim the Raw Fury gifts, freebies and discounts on their back catalogue of games. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you all again here soon for yet more indie game videos.